Hi YouTube, I'm Aiman, and welcome back to one of my outdoor cooking videos. In this video, I'm going to show you how to cook the rare and delicious Malaysian dish, Kerutuk. Alright, so Kerutuk is a very famous dish, especially in the eastern states of Malaysia like Kelantan and Terengganu, and my dad's home state of Kedah. It's usually cooked for receptions or large gatherings. Alright, so we're gonna get to cooking, and I'm gonna talk more about Kerutuk later. So we're gonna cook the basic way, simple way. I mean, there's many versions of Kerutuk, but this is the simple way. It even has the instructions on the back of the packet here. Alright, so let's get to cooking. So the ingredients are on the packet, and if you want to see the ingredients, then I'll show you in the link in the description below. So there actually is 2 ingredient A's, and that is shallots and ginger. You can also substitute for onions. Next they have ingredient B, which is galanga, ginger and garlic. And finally there's also lemongrass. The ingredient A and B will be blended, and this will be pounded. Also, the measurements we'll put down in the description below. Next, we're going to be using Cuisine, which I'll talk about later. Coconut milk, tamarind juice, and brown sugar, as well as oil. Alright, so 1 small packet is meant for half a kilogram or 1 pound approximately of beef. And we have 1 pound or, no, 2 pounds or approximately 1 kilogram of beef right here. Alright, so 4 tablespoons from a big packet is around approximately 2 small packets, so we're going to do that right now. And then you're going to want to combine that with hot water and mix it in order to make a paste. So I'm on my 3rd tablespoon right now. Put our hot water in. And we're going to mix it in order to make a paste. Don't want to spill it. Alright, so this should be a paste, and I think we added a bit too much water. You should also stir just a bit gently so that it doesn't spill. Next, you want to pound your lemongrass so that it's crushed a bit. Then you want to blend ingredient A and ingredient B. So let's get to it. Alright, so we already did ingredient A, and this is ingredient B. So with ingredient B, we're going to saute it. Saute, not saute. Alright, so next we're going to mix ingredient A in the paste. So pour that in. And then the paste. Just stir it gently. And then next, you want to put the pan over your burner. I'm going to set it to medium. Then we're going to pour our oil in, and then we wait until it gets hot. And then when it gets hot, we're going to pour this in and saute it. Continue mixing. And while I wait for the oil to get hot, I should also mention that this is the type of dish that my brother Zami will like, because usually when we cook with little spices, bits and pieces, and Zami doesn't really like those pieces, so if everything's blended, then it will be better for him. I mean, it's kind of like liking creamy peanut butter over crunchy peanut butter. Alright, so we tested with sprinkling some water to make sure it was hot. Oh, hey Zami. He's here to watch. Alright, so now it's hot. We're going to pour this in, and once it gets golden brown, then we can pour this in and mix it. You want to keep your hand clear so that you don't get hit by the hot bubbles. Alright, so it looks like it's almost golden brown, so we're going to put this in so that it doesn't get overheated or burnt. And then even though the instructions say 15 minutes, we're going to mix it for 5 to 10 minutes. Ooh, oh, we made a mistake. Actually, you're supposed to saute the lemongrass along with the ingredient B. It's no big deal though, we'll put it in now. The reason that we don't have to cook it for 15 minutes is because back when we were mixing the spices, we mixed them with hot water. So that lowers it from 15 minutes to 5 to 10. Right, so while this is cooking, we can talk more about Kerutuk. So Kerutuk used to be exclusive to those 3 states I talked about earlier. And even my mom, when she married my dad 30 years ago, she didn't know about Kerutuk until my dad cooked it for her. And my dad knows it from growing up, since his grandfather is Kelantanese, and he knows the recipe. Sorry. Alright, so back then, when my mom married my dad, Kerutuk cannot be found, or was rare to find in the southern states of Malaysia, like Johor, where my mom comes from. And when she tried to search in Johor for Kerutuk, it was hard for her. And nowadays, Kerutuk, you can find it everywhere in Malaysia. And in the US, restaurants like Bentara serve it. Kerutuk is hard to find in the US. Even when my dad looked online, it was hard to find. However, he saw that was definitely plentiful in the UK. However, if you are in the US or other places on the globe, then he has a strategy to getting Malaysian black curry. Malaysian black curry is another name for Kerutuk. Alright, so here's the strategy. So you can mix yellow curry and white curry, and my dad says that the mixture is very similar to Kerutuk. So if you are in places that you can't get Kerutuk easily, then this is a strategy. Right, so the Kerutuk looks brown, and as you can see, it looks a bit oily. And now is the time to add the beef. So usually my dad would add these later, the very last, but for the sake of this video, we're gonna add them together for the sake of simplicity. Alright, so wanna stir it. Then you wanna add your coconut milk. Don't spill it. Then next you want to add your Cuisine. We'll talk about it later. Then next your brown sugar, and then your tamarind. Smells good. Alright, so as you saw, it was a bit hard for me to get the Cuisine out because it's more like a paste or like butter. So I'm going to put in it now. So if you're in the US or in places where it's hard to get Cuisine, you probably want to use half. If you're in places like Malaysia, you're probably going to use the whole thing. And that's what makes Kerutuk unique, because it has 3 distinguishing characteristics. It has Cuisine, galanga, and brown sugar. And brown sugar is important because usually in Malaysia, they don't put sugar in main dishes because, you know, sugar is for dessert, and dessert is supposed to be sweet. So, that Kerutuk is really unique because it uses sugar, unlike yellow curry or white curry. Right, so the good thing about this is that we use tamarind without seeds, so we didn't have to strain it. Also, we used coconut milk in this, so as you can tell, probably has a lot of fat. So now we can cook this covered in order to get the beef cooked. And I mean, Kerutuk can really be cooked with any meat really, like chicken or lamb, not just beef. And now, while it's cooking, we're gonna do cleanup time so it's easier for us and you. And later, we're gonna add potatoes, and I guess really only my dad eats this, but cubes of onions. Alright, so Kerutuk, it's also known as roasted coconut paste, or as my dad likes to call it, Malaysian coconut butter. It's actually exclusive to countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, or Singapore, and we actually had to have this imported from Malaysia. I mean, you can't find this stuff in Asian grocery stores in the US, and sometimes we even have to make it ourselves using grated frozen coconut, and I'll show you how to do that in a later video, so check that out. However, this is really rare to find in the US. Alright, so by now it should be thick, but it's alright if it isn't. However, this should take at least 5 minutes to soften, so since sun is going down, we're going to add it now. I'm going to strain it just a bit. Then we add it because it takes around 30 minutes or 20 minutes to get acquainted with the meat. Alright, so I made a mistake. I must be getting tired. So the potatoes actually take 5 minutes to soften. The meat takes 30 minutes to soften. Not cooked, you can still eat it raw. I don't recommend it though. And after the potatoes soften, you can add the onion cubes. So it's not softened yet, but it will. Alright, so at this point we can add salt. Don't add too much though, because when this thickens, the gravy thickens, it will be salty. And once we add the potatoes, there's nothing to absorb the saltiness. So we only want to add just a little until we get the desired saltiness. So I'm just going to take half a teaspoon and add a bit until I get the desired taste. And then I'm going to mix it, just take a bit. And taste it. I like it. Kerutub is actually, one of its defining characteristics is to be sweet, unlike some other main dishes too. Right, so I tasted it and everything tastes fine. The only thing we added is Kerutuk, because we just want that coconut paste or buttery taste. It's very unique. Also, something I want to criticize, we're also going to add the onion cubes later because my dad doesn't like the onions too cooked. One thing I want to say is that I would cut down on the brown sugar because it just was a bit too sweet for me. If you're American, then I suggest cutting down on the sugar so that it doesn't get too sweet. Also, the recipe called for 500 milligrams of water. However, since we had a too watery paste and we also used water in blending the ingredients, it was alright. So during cooking, you make sure you want to wing it so that it gets the best food for your customers. Yeah, that's it. You want to have the best food for your customers. Alright, so I'm going to taste it one last time before we add the onions. That's so good. Alright, so we're going to add this and we're going to cook it on simmer. And then after that, we're going to get Azami to come out here and taste it for himself. Alright, so then stir it just a bit. Lower the heat. Alright, so it's been 1 to 2 minutes, and now we're just gonna let it simmer. And this is important because when you cook meat, it actually expands, and then it contracts while it simmers, and then while it contracts, it absorbs all the flavor. And you should let it simmer for around 10 to 15 minutes so that it can get all the flavor. And that's why it's important that you use large pieces of meat instead of small pieces. I mean, that's important with beef, but not really with chicken, actually, because chicken doesn't have as many muscles. Alright, so dinner is served, and you know that Malaysians don't only eat the main dish, we also like to eat it with some other stuff. However, for the sake of this video, we only have rice. And we also have my brother Azami here to taste test. Alright, so the reason we picked Azami is because he's the pickiest eater in our family, no offense. And if he likes it, he likes it. And if he doesn't like it, then he makes a face. So, if he doesn't like it, you'll see the face. I can also tell that he likes it because he already sneaked a taste already, too. So take a taste. Alright, thanks for being on the video. Alright, and before I wrap up for this video, I also want to mention that the color of the kerutub kind of looks like curry, if you look. And the reason why is because we use light brown sugar, and we also use light brown Cuisine, not dark brown. And that's why it's called black curry, because it's supposed to be dark. But even because we're living in the US, you gotta make buy with what you got, especially since materials like Cuisine are scarce, and kerutub. So, as you can see, kerutub. I'm Aiman, and thanks for watching. Please like, rate, comment, subscribe. We've got other videos on EYeOnAiman, especially the cooking videos, and also that frozen grated coconut that I showed you. Anyway, sorry. Peace. I'm tired.